The Fallen Fantasy update aka 11.6 is the first Fall Guys update of 2025, and I overall find it to be pretty underwhelming. This is for 7 days, a series where I go over and share my thoughts on the first week of an update, which means I will not be talking about anything added or removed past February 11th, 2025. Izzytorium didn't make a trailer for this update, nor would they make a blog post on their website, which they only really do for their major updates. They'd make a post on their social media saying we have a quote little update for ya, end quote, which could mean it's a minor update and not a major one, but it does have a name, that being Fallen Fantasy, which is backed up by this Reddit mega thread. But again, it is the Fall Guys social media or their Fall Guys Twitter page, so maybe we shouldn't take it too seriously. It's really strange how we haven't received a trailer for an update since 11.2, and the last blog post was about the 11.3 aka Halloween 2024 update. It's not really a big deal, but still weird. Izzytorium did announce that ranked mode will be coming in the next update, so let's hope we'll get a trailer and blog post for that update. To me personally, this update feels filler. Same could be said for the last two updates actually, but this one is especially apparent. The round pool changes is pretty similar to the one we got in the last update. 5 creative levels made by Izzytorium got added to Knockout, and 1 classic level is back in the game, that being Freezy Peak. And just like the last update or 11.5, they added variations of the new maps that's themed to a particular holiday, in this case Valentine's. They can be found in the Valentine's Festival LTM. What's strange is that only 3 out of 5 levels received Valentine's variations. We don't have much precedence or history about holiday variations, as they were only introduced in the 11.5 aka Winter 2024 update. In that update, all 5 maps had a winter variation, so only time will tell if every level will get a holiday variant or only a few of them will. That took a while, but the creative levels that got added are Castle Siege, Dragon Dashers, Slippy Slopes, the Hopperdrome, and Treasure Trove. We'd also get Valentine's Castle Siege, Valentine's Dragon Dashers, and Valentine's Treasure Trove. Creator Spotlight, which is a mode that features levels made by the community, got a total refresh on February 4th or on day 1. It feels like we got Creator Spotlight 7 updates ago, but it actually came out on the November 2024 update, which was only 3 months ago. Either way, we got 20 levels. 9 of them are course, 7 survival, and 4 points. I'll be honest, I haven't played Creator Spotlight since the beginning of December or near the end of 11.4, and according to the wiki, that was the 3rd rotation. Either way, I'll give it a try, especially since I started a series in which I feature creative maps near the end of the month. Listen man, I found it weird how they released 11.5 but didn't refresh Creator Spotlight on day 1, but rather they chose to do it a week into the update. But I'm glad they decided to refresh Creator Spotlight on day 1 of this update and hope they continue to do this. But forget all that. After being vaulted for 805 days, Freezy Peak is finally back, and for context, the last time that I played Freezy Peak was on November 22nd, 2022. The map would get removed with the introduction of Season 3 Saga Secrets aka SS3. While I wish it came back on the winter update, it would have been perfect, but that doesn't matter now. With this, every Legacy Season 3 map is now back in the game. I got the map twice while playing Knockout, and in both cases, it appeared in round 1, which I found odd because I didn't remember it being a starter level, which is basically maps that appear in round 1. I searched the wiki, and this was changed all the way back in SS3. You could tell if you played the vault shown customs since the level actually got vaulted. So wild to think the last time this map was in the game, slide diving wasn't even a mechanic. That feature got added in SS3. It just feels so nice being able to do it. What I found strange is that they actually updated the level. An additional flipper was added on the incline section. Previously, you were able to jump dive over the flipper and basically cheese the entire section. This was a strat you could do for years, and for whatever reason, they basically put a stop to that. It makes me wonder if they'll be updating the remaining vaulted maps to account for the 10.9 physics change. They'll definitely do for Start Chart because the entire map was broken because of the physics change. Wall Guys could get updated. Let's talk about Fame Pass 17 aka February 2025, and not the fact that I forgot to record this portion of the video with my good microphone. I'll keep this brief as I'm not really into the whole fantasy thing in general, so this Fame Pass isn't something I'm a fan of personally. I do like the Treasure Trove and Bright Star costume, and the powerful spells emote is freaking amazing. I don't really use nor care for emotes you can get from the Fame Pass or actually emotes in general, but this one got equipped the instant I unlocked it. Also, the Infernal color goes absolutely hard. That was also equipped frame 1. The Wizard Wishes costume, being the book version of the Wizard costume, is just great. It's weird how in Fame Pass 16 or the last Fame Pass, they brought back crowns, but in this pass, it's back to 30 shards. Maybe they were having issues putting crowns in this Fame Pass, so they reverted back to shards. Let's just hope it's a one-time thing. With every update, creative mode gets some new additions, and this one is no different. content. We'd received 2 new skyboxes or backgrounds, those being Festival, which is based on Legacy Season 6, and Slime Cave, the game's 3rd post-seasonal skybox, the first 2 being Volcano and Scrapyard. We'd also get a bunch of new decorations that are based on the fantasy theme, such as the treasure chest, torch, pillar, statue, red, orange, blue, and green gems, boulder, and 3 different looking rocks. Oh yeah, and we also got 4 new stickers, those being banner, swirl, drip, and fluff. And after 9 months, we got a new soundtrack called All Fables and Falling, which is very fantasy inspired. With 10.4 aka Fall Force, they decided to make all the skyboxes 2D, although the digital aka SS4 skybox remained in 3D for some reason. That was until they added the Festival skybox, which is in fact in 3D, and I'll be honest, I love and just miss the 3D skyboxes. It just looks so good. They also added the Dragon Cave color palette, so that's cool, but man, the colors used on the Slime Cave background are just gorgeous, especially the creature in the background. It just looks incredible. Look, I understand it's based on a cave, so the lighting makes sense, but I'm just not a fan of the cool blue lighting personally. Well, at least when it's actually overcast on the players themselves, it's really disappointing how we've only gotten decorations. While they are important to the overall look and feel of a level, it just feels so meh. Although it's been like that since 11.4, and not every update can be like 11.2, I guess. But I will say the statue is pretty cool. Let's hope they'll add more with time. Also, someone should let Sega know they added the Master Emerald into Fall Guys. I'll be sharing my thoughts on the new levels that Izzytorium made, starting with Castle Siege. I'll be honest, the idea of you avoiding incoming planes while trying to knock people off is exciting, but I just find the level to be mediocre at best. I do wish the rubber chicken spawned more quickly, because it just gets boring after a while. They do need to make the levels more easier for newbie players, so I get why they didn't say make the tiles fall faster or added a baton in the middle. It just would have been awesome if after a while carryable fans or punchers spawned in as a way to speed things up. However, again, it might have been too hard for some players because remember, a wide range of people play Knockout, which includes newbies. This level has such an interesting premise, but it ends up being lackluster. And this might be a little weird, but Dragon Dashers is a level I don't mind getting and something that I actually enjoy playing. But I won't deny that the Valentine's variation looks awful. It just looks way better in Knockout. I'm someone who loves maps where you're constantly going fast, so this level fits the bill. Although I hate the starting section, mainly the one in where you have to drop down onto the floor. Most of the time I am going to ragdoll, but also the first slime floor section sucks. To me, it just bogs down the pace. Overall, it's one of the more shorter race levels, which is a good thing in my opinion, and I just like the level. It sounds weird to say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if most people just don't like the level. But nah, I feel like they spent most of the development time on Slippy Slopes, and it might be the best level they added in this update. It really invokes the fantasy medieval vibe, which is funny because Legacy Season 2 was literally medieval themed, so it's sort of a fun callback to that. It's one of those levels I could see newbies not liking due to how many times you could respawn and the ending section being a thin strip. But once you learn the fastest route, this map is a breeze and pretty fun. To do this, you would have to take the left side when you pass the first turnstile. Then, once you reach the final set of platforms or the final section, stick to the left side and just full send it until you land on the rotating platform, and then you'll just be on your merry way. At the very start, if possible, do try to take the left side with the drums. But just go to the left side when you go to the turnstile section and just stay there and you'll be golden. But if I had to complain about something, I'd say the rotating fan blade at the start moves a little too slow for my liking, but again, I imagine it was done so newbies wouldn't have a hard time. However, making it a little faster wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but I digress. The ending section feels like they didn't know what to do or what to put, so they just chose to put a few platforms and call it a day. But again, with this strat I mentioned, it's not much of an issue. Overall, this level is one of my favorite ones they released in 11.6. Now onto the Hopperdrome. You're essentially set in a pit and have to dodge laser beams. It's simple as that really. I don't know if it's just me or my connection, but I feel like I've died when I clearly wasn't anywhere near the bar. Just the hitbox on that thing is way bigger than expected. Most of the time I'm just jump diving over the bar, even though I could clearly jump over it, but I just don't want to risk it and actually just end up hitting the hitbox when I didn't mean to. This is one of those maps I imagine grabbing can heavily benefit you, but I'm someone who sucks at grabbing. I never took the time to develop that skill, unfortunately. Either way, I vastly prefer this level over Castle Siege. And out of these survival finales, this one can get quite intense if it lasts long enough, but overall it's fine. Although the setting is great though. Treasure Trove is one of those levels I like to look off in Valentine's and not in Knockout. Although with the qualification limits, I prefer playing this in Knockout. The level is basically a cookie cutter level I'd see in Explore. It's just awful in my opinion. I'd rather play Chicken Gulch or heck, even Gold Rush if I'm being honest. Not much to say, let's just move on. In terms of looks, I prefer the knockout versions, but in cases like Treasure Trove, the Fallen Times versions looks better. The gift boxes really do it for me. I'd say the levels range from mediocre to good at best. The ones I really liked were Dragon Chasers and Sleepy Slopes. The finales had some great ideas, but subpar execution. I think it would be really cool if they made an exclusive level that's only present in the limited time mode. Imagine if we had a Valentine's level that could only be found in Valentine's Festival. Could get people to play the LTM more, especially if it's really good. In this section, I'll go over some of the changes found in this update. The biggest one is that we can now see crown ranks while in game. If you have nicknames turned on, you can see it above their heads. And when spectating, you can see it on their nameplate. With this update, they announced ranked knockout. We currently have no more details than the newsfeed post they made, but I'm assuming we'll be able to see people's actual rank when the mode comes out, since it says rank visibility in game and not just crown rank visibility in game. You're able to hide your rank if you wish to do so via the settings, or just turn it off altogether, and I'll be honest, if they didn't add this, people would have gone angry. This is a feature that's available in other video games that have a ranked mode of sorts. Usually in most games, you can view other players' profiles and you're able to set that to private. I'm glad they allowed people the flexibility and option to hide their ranks. This is one of those things that people wonder why it's in the game, and it's purely so people can't be toxic and leave if they notice you have a low rank. They may leave regardless, but it shouldn't be because someone has a smaller number than expected. On the flip side, people could target the player with the highest rank, and it's pretty difficult dodging 3+ people trying to grab you on Hexaterrestrial. So while some people will find it pretty strange to actually include a rank visibility option, and some people may make fun of other people for actually choosing to hide their rank, but that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, moving on, they would update the soundtrack that plays in the lobby to a fantasy version of Everybody Falls, which replaces the chill mix version that was added in the 11.2 aka Scraphead Stumble. This new Everybody Falls feels like it's returning to how the others used to be. Chill mix really went a different direction while retaining that Fall Guys vibe. While there are clear differences, I just wish they really committed to the fantasy vibe, but this is decent I suppose. And as previously mentioned, I just cannot believe it's been 9 months since they added Yada Yada. They added that in 11.2, but we finally have a new track, that being All Fables and Falling, that was composed by Leonardo Lima. Fables and Fallings really strays away from the traditional Fall Guys track we were used to. With music, my opinions on them change as I listen to them more and more, so this isn't really something that's set in stone, but once it hits the 1 minute mark, that's when I really start to enjoy the song. Otherwise, it's okay. I can't adequately describe this, but you sort of hear this sort of Asian influence at certain points, which makes it really feel relaxed yet whimsical at the same time. Really weird, I know. While on the topic of songs, or I guess jingles in this case, they added a new jingle to the map loading and qualification screens. Could just be me, but for the map loading screen, it just doesn't sound right. It feels like the song and jingles are fighting each other almost. They should have just put the jingles and disabled the song that plays. However, it's perfect during the qualification box. This is the first time since the game's inception in August of 2020 that they changed what players during those sections, and that's just absolutely wild to think about. Like, they didn't change anything at all on those screens? It would be unrealistic to expect new jingles every update, but hopefully we get to see new ones sooner rather than later. Sorry, Futuresy here. I forgot to mention they changed the 3D background from Winter to Dragon Cave. Yeah, I'm just as shocked as you are. I have no idea why I forgot about that. When in the game selector, you'll see that they changed the tags that display on certain modes. They're now gold plated, which is pretty snazzy. And speaking of gold, if you complete the Fame Pass, your name gets displayed in gold. Those are some of the changes I found. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. With the release of the update, we got the Heart and Hugs Live event, and with every event since 11.3 aka Halloween 2024, we also got a challenge event, that being the Valentine's Mastery, which is basically where the more difficult challenges go as opposed to being in the live event. I've said this before, but I've never been a fan of these locked and linear events, which you have to go one by one in order to unlock the next set of challenges. The challenges themselves are brain dead simple, so it's not really much of an issue. I just like being able to do the challenges freely without restriction. I don't care about the skin itself. It looks cute, but not something I plan on ever wearing. The event is Valentine's based, and fun fact, it's not the first time the game has actually ever done a Valentine based event, but they've never really done it to this extent, if that sort of makes any sense. This event was Valentine's based, so it's a duo thing, which is very fitting. Overall, I don't really care much about this event. While you can finish this event with a duo partner, it's actually not required, meaning you can finish finish this event by yourself. And for the most part, the same things could be said for the challenge event, well except for the challenges being brain dead easy, but that really depends on how good you are at the game. If you're able to get wins fairly easily, then the challenge event is also easy. The costume is basically a reskin of what they gave out in the live event, although I will say the stone aesthetic is pretty cool. Even though I find most of the levels in the Fall Times Festival LTM to be pretty mediocre, it is the best way of only playing the new maps, but I guess that's about it, and it does last for a reasonable amount of time. Not really much to say. I did want to mention it since it is something that actually did come out in the first week of the update. Time Attack Shuffle is back, and this time they added 3 new maps, that being Roll On, Night Fever, and Big Fans. The inclusion of Night Fever is pretty questionable, as a slime slope is pretty much a run killer since you can't really slide dive on it most of the time. It just feels weird to see it there. With Miratonic removing body blocking and grabbing not being possible, Big Fans feels like a good inclusion in Time Attack, but not exactly something I was expecting to be in this mode, but sure. I can see why they chose to add Roll On, as it's fast paced and you're constantly moving, though the ending section could make or break some runs, but it's not that big of a deal. Whereas in Night Fever, you may have to wait for the bridge to be down, which can kill your run. Such a strange choice not to include Speed Circuit or even Short Circuit, which are perfect maps for a mode like Time Attack. They'll probably get added down the line, but Night Fever is just an odd choice, man. But again, so is Dizzy Heights, which in my opinion should never have been added to Time Attack. Now that all of the Legacy Season 3 maps are back, they brought back Snow Day Stumble. However, they added the winter maps they made in 11.5. This is the first time they've added creative maps into a classic LTM. They removed Jump Showdown and Roll Off from the round pool. They probably needed to add more maps because otherwise it would be impossible to play, so they probably decided to add the creative maps they made in winter, which perfectly fits. Or maybe since they decided to actually include the winter maps, they felt like they didn't need to add Jump Showdown and Roll Off, which as you know are not winter maps. Although Roll Off was added in Legacy Season 3, which was the winter season, but that's besides the point. Mark my words, we could start to see classic LTMs include creative levels, but I could see this being a rare occurrence. If they do this too fast and just too often, people could start to get angry at them actually trying to, quote unquote, ruin these classic LTMs with creative levels. I have no idea if this is even feasibly possible, but if it is, I could see them actually add creative levels to Time Attack Shuffle. If we're strictly speaking about Miratonic made levels in Time Attack Shuffle, Dragon Dashers could definitely be added to Time Attack Shuffle. It just fits that sort of mantra of Time Attack Shuffle. Although with Dizzy Heights being there, honestly I could just see any course level in creative mode get added to Time Attack Shuffle. The inclusion of creative levels in classic LTMs from a game standpoint is pretty huge and unprecedented since it's never been done before, but I just don't really care for some reason. The levels included are fine. If anything, I don't play LTMs all that much anymore unless it's something I really enjoy like Explore Classic or Slime Camp Time, or if I'm required to finish a live event or challenge event. My one humble request is that whenever they refresh Creator Spotlight, can they please put the new levels tag while you're in the game selector, and to make a newsfeed post about when they refresh it. They didn't do this when they refreshed the mode at the start of 11.6, and I'm not someone who checks the wiki or Fogger's DB every day, and I don't really use social media all that much, so I have no idea when they refresh Creator Spotlight, and I assume most people actually don't know when they refresh Creator Spotlight. But if you put the new levels tag, more people might be incentivized to actually, actually play the mode. So that would be awesome if they did that going forward. Please and thank you. In terms of bugs, really the only one that I found was in Time Attack Shuffle. It has something to do with the way it tracks your time. When you start, you can see that it stops the time, which should only really happen when you cross a checkpoint. Now here's a weird thing. Once you cross the first checkpoint, it'll show that you're behind by a time that shouldn't be feasibly possible, although it doesn't affect your final time, so it's incredibly minor, but still a thing. Speaking of Time Attack, the bug where if you try and reset your run while falling is still here. As you can see, I can't reset my run unless I hit the next checkpoint. Special thank you to our Max Store, aka $5 members, Jumpin' and Runnin', Deckle, The Editor, Axolotl Profi, T-Man, A Random Guy, The Salt, TM, Froggle Bean, and the Cupcake Kazoo for your support as always.